Samuel already.
Yep.
We are here and ready. Hey, welcome back to part 3 of Girl by Moonlight. We're going to find out some secrets. Yeah.
So I would love to do a parallel shots thing of the dialogue between Hildar and this other person is going to be relevant to the stuff that Andy's character is looking at.
Yeah.
And so Sean and I, we were talking, we're going to bounce to Andy having Abbott do whatever she's doing. The info that you kind of ascertain or whatever that kind of looks like will then feed that back into the dialogue between Hildar and this other person.
Yeah.
That Prophet is hearing.
Cool. So good.
Love it.
And it'll be, we'll get to have that your lens on it and then these other very different people's lens on it and see the
I would kind of like if it's possible, if it's reasonable, I'd sort of like the camera angle to be like Raina's point of view, because Raina's looking at both of us. Raina can look over, see what a rabbit's figuring out, look back, see whatever they're talking about.
Totally.
That's real good. I'm real excited about that.
So Abbott runs over to the console while this technician is distracted. What are you doing with it?
Abbott is really interested in trying to yes, Sean. This is how you computer.
Yeah.
The universal sign of I am sending an email.
Yeah, I know. I just
So Abbott is doing a whole bunch of that is in rapidity and is aiming to learn about that system and what Tor had said about what are they doing? What is this for? Where is it from? Trying to understand the context of the space and trying to understand the system and really just what is all of this? I can see some of it. I clearly don't understand all of it because I just Abbott just kind of busted up that turbine.
Yeah, you have already damaged a bunch of important, almost damaged a bunch of very important equipment.
I hurt someone's feelings. That's not cool.
And so this computer system, it's there are 3 kind of panel displays, and there is I think they're all touch screens, and there's
Whoa.
a big diagram grid thing display of the generators, one of which is, or the turbines, one of which is flashing. It's amber and showing that things are wrong.
Yep.
And then the other ones are all running correctly. There's a icon for the thing in the middle. It's just a box with the words. Let's just pick a name from the list because that's always good. Stygal. Stygal. But it's all caps. It's an acronym. And we just will never actually say what the acronym says because I don't know. But yeah, so it's just STYGAL, all caps with the periods.
Something new for Abbott to obsess over.
And it is, there's a percentage probability number next to it. And it keeps fluctuating.
Yeah.
It's trying to predict when the next flare is going to be. That's
goody.
on one display. The middle display is a power allocation UI that lists a bunch of capacitors and storage blocks for just electricity. It lists all of the districts of the city of the Bastion.
Great.
With military and priority. It's all triaged by priority. And so certain neighborhoods are super low priority, others are very high. And that's in the middle display. And then on the far right, there's one that's shit written in cuneiform. There's just this huge wall of text that isn't a language you don't read, presumably.
Great.
And so it's all there in in that particular like green on black computer display aesthetic. So it's a little like pixelated cuneiform script. And it's just like a wall of it that's scrolling continually. And now that you're here up at the front, you can hear/feel, because there's so much white noise.
Yeah.
But you can feel a rhythmic sound that is not the turbines. And though you can't read the script, there is a sense of like a cadence to it, as if they have a machine chanting at this thing. There's like this feeling that you're standing on a massive speaker. And that there's this like this semi-regular pattern of sound that is not being made by any of the machines for their functional purposes, but is this like projection of sound, but on a massive scale.
I have this thought, and I know Prophet isn't there nor would have any ability to do this, but I'm just wondering if this is a thing that you're conveying. I'm thinking of like old self-playing pianos where they have like the music like scrolling along and the piano is just like following the instructions. And I'm wondering if like the cuneiform is like this like spinning thing, and like it's just like it's like the script.
It's basically that, Sean, but for weird ancient chanting. And I think somewhere in the middle of listening to Hildar's conversation, Prophet's going to start hearing it too.
Cool.
Because it's presumably she speaks the language and can read it.
Yeah.
Like half remembers the language or something, you know, like in that kind of way. But back to Abbott. So you're at this console and there are these three, like two clearly connected things. And then like, what the fuck?
Yes.
What do you do?
Abbott's gonna ask the computer, even though she doesn't know necessarily how to talk to computers a whole lot, if it can help her understand the scroll. Like this, like that's the thing that she doesn't understand is the thing she's really excited about. And so she's gonna spend some time like listening and like depending on how if the fan was cranky, the computer's probably mad too. So like just start trying to like, what is this? This is like is super excited and amazed and really stricken by all of this rolling cuneiform. And wants to spend time like looking at that and digging through that. And if there's anybody home in that computer.
Right. And so you're just like reaching out and like touching the screens.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
do you literally just talk at it, or
I can well see it's like she ends up leaning in and then hands like in like framing her face as she's like way too close.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So good.
And do you want to just like gather information, or
I think
there's like no particular thing you're trying to accomplish other than just learn about it?
No, more. Just want to know more about the thing. Don't want to break it anymore.
Don't want to break it
Further.
So you are uniquely positioned in that you have that ability. You can empathize with it, right?
It's true. I can.
And it sounds like you're leaning into that. And so in that case, go ahead and roll empathize. Because of all the setup actions that have occurred, I think at this stage you're controlled.
Great.
Because I feel like y'all have earned it. Definitely the initial emotional read is that it's very distracted.
Yeah.
Like you're tapping someone on the shoulder while they're trying to like conduct an orchestra and cook stir fry something at the same time. You know, like I'm busy. Like, and it's just like doing all of these tasks. So yeah, we'll say controlled position. I guess great effect, because you're circumventing all of the parts of this that are actually hard and just
asking,
emotively asking this thing.
I'm into that.
I dig it. I mean, all the like you need to know passwords and code and all that jazz.
Here's what I'll put forward.
Yes.
Since you're not transcended, I can't give you better than standard.
Okay.
If you want to transcend, we can go to great.
I think this is a fine excuse because that's great. And Abbott being completely like taken in by this completely unfamiliar, unknowable thing, that transcendence
Like you just like slip into it almost on accident.
Yeah. And it had started, there's little, like we had seen a little bit of this when she had successfully apologized to the turbine and like scuttled back, and that there's more and more fog pouring off of her and out of her. And it gets to the point where she's roiling in fog, and her silhouette and her like things start to smell like the wet and the damp of like fog in the winter when it's cold and sharp.
I imagine there's a little bit of like superconductive cooling to this computer as well, that it like runs a little better because it's actually getting cooled off.
Yeah.
Because this space is very hot.
Mm-hmm,
full of hot water and like metal pipes.
Yeah.
Hot water, they're bleeding heat into the space. It's like super muggy in here.
Great.
So, yeah.
It gets even worse. And so in transcending Abbott, her silhouette becomes deep, like indistinct and difficult to see. And as like she's more embodied by this all of this fog, and like roiling. Are they waves? Is it like limbs? Is it the wind? Like underneath all of that, intertwined with all of that, it's frozen fog.
And so we see like water, like condensation bead on the displays as you're leaning in.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead and roll your dice. Also have the thing where when you gather info while transcended, it does not cost transcendent action.
That's right.
Nice.
This is what you're all about.
What action are you rolling?
Empathize.
Because she can empathize with non-human things as if they were people.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't benefit from, what was the name of
You're
the
not getting
crew?
plugged in. Yeah. Perceive, flow, or analyze.
Yep. Super good. All right. Here we go.
Can't you just use computers like a normal person?
No, I can't. Definitely can't.
All right. Well, you get a 6, so that's great. What do you want to know? You can ask me questions from any time traveler, guardian, or your own playbook.
Okay, great. Now let me look at those, which are all pieces of paper in front of me because I'm that kind of person. Great. Let's see. Of course, how many questions do I have, Andrew?
We're doing great effect here, so I'm gonna give you like 3 questions total.
Great.
And we'll like if anything seems weird or mystifying, just ask me a clarifying question for free. We'll try to get some good info for you.
All right. So the most important thing as ever is, what do I see here despite an effort to conceal it?
So there's a lot of misdirection going on here. There's a lot of like obfuscating weird shit that they don't understand behind technical jargon.
Yes.
Like they have the Steigal thing. It's a black box to them. They have no idea what the fuck actually is going on in there.
Got it. So
they're just tapping it for power.
They're paper macheing science on top of magic.
Yes. That's the thing that immediately stands out, because you're like, this thing the computer doesn't have any feelings about that thing.
Okay.
Which is like it's the elephant in the room. It just like does not acknowledge it. It's totally agnostic to like what is going on after a certain like juncture into that.
Yeah.
Object.
Right. All computing stops when it gets to that point, right?
It's just like question marks and here be dragons. Like who knows?
Amazing.
So first and foremost, the other thing that is being hidden is or is attempted to be hidden, but you spot, is the sense of like the precariousness of it.
Yeah.
Whereas looking at the screen, you might be like, oh yeah, they got this all figured out. They got numbers and shit. But like the fact that one turbine is slowing down is like a real big problem. And, like, the whole system could come undone.
Yeah.
It's all very precarious. And that comes to you in that this computer system is like freaking out about that. And is just like really like anxious and high strung and worried because there's like this little amber light flashing.
Yeah.
That's actually a really big deal.
Okay. Let's see. What else do I really want to know? Okay, we're talking about the system. What doesn't belong here?
So again, there are like the layers to this of like,
yeah,
this isn't a place for people or their machines.
Yeah.
A bunch of stuff has been stripped away that was meant to be here and is no longer. And so all of the devices in this space are uneasy in the way that like sheep that know there's a wolf around are uneasy, right? Like they all feel out of place and on edge and are like walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
But also, there's that like facade of it trying to blend in by way of this like weird chanting thing.
Yeah.
It's like that's like a smoke screen to not have the wolves notice the sheep or whatever.
Right. We're wolves, we promise.
Yeah, we're just like, you're like, we belong here, everything's cool. So everything is trying to mask its presence or compensate for the disruptiveness of its presence.
So if the player piano program like stopped, things could be
probably real bad. Again, everything is like super tenuous here and requires constant maintenance and attention.
Okay.
This computer system is really needy, right? It has that feeling of like a high-strung dog that wants your attention constantly.
Okay.
Where like you standing here at this computer, it's like, why aren't you pushing buttons? Why aren't you doing stuff? Why aren't
you
do the
thing? Got it.
Regulating the flow of this thing, and like little lights are coming on, being like, pay attention to this. Pay attention to this. That little number that's like indicating the flare-up likelihood is like increasing, and as it does, the cuneiform text program is like highlighting certain bits and reassembling and like restructuring the text.
Yeah,
to like reprioritize different stuff or something. It like changes the text around to try to like deal with that. The two are connected in some way.
Dynamic prayer building.
Yeah, exactly. It's like algorithmically generating prayers to assuage the thing, basically, or like prayers, meditative chant, some kind of religious thing, mystical thing.
Oh gosh. Okay.
And if you want to ask me a couple questions like off book as well, you're more than welcome to at this point.
Okay.
If you feel like you can't get anywhere with the canned questions.
I'm my only problem is I'm curious about everything so much. Questions that I want to ask are around Steigl.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe I don't even know if, because like one of my questions is what might happen if I X, and like the thing that Abbott wants to do the most baddest is to make friends with Steigl, right? Like, so maybe like that's probably like that, or like there's the question about what do I do? How can I where can I gain an edge? Like, so there's this like, how can I use the situation to my advantage? Where my advantage is, I assume that individual.
Yeah, you're personifying this thing that is trapped inside of the thing over there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be like, cool, how can I? So this machine can't get you there.
Right.
Because we've talked about like it is totally siloed very deliberately away from that thing. It lives in fear of that thing and doesn't understand it.
Yes.
It seeks to assuage it and never have it be a problem or come out of its shell or like exist. It wants it to
preferably like never notice the conductor.
Yeah. And so that's the like cop-out answer.
Yes.
Like, no, you can't here.
Right.
But also
you can't this way, right? I mean, that's not.
And like if you're asking the machine that question, right? It's like, oh no, can't do that. Never gonna happen. Like it's like, warning, do not breach containment. Like all this kind of stuff starts coming up.
Yes.
And then there's the bad kid part of your brain that's like, or if I shut this thing down, then I can talk to this thing.
Oh no. Yeah.
And it's like, like imminent, like containment flash, like countdown. It just like has a countdown now to it because it's going to happen.
Because it knows.
Because it's recognized it and it's like desperately reparsing the cuneiform text into these
Yes.
like red highlighted chunks that it's like jamming into this framework.
Mm-hmm.
So all that precariousness is where you can gain an edge given your objective.
Perfect.
You
Great.
can derail this thing for a bit and get at the super volatile, messy interior of it. There is a failsafe for when that kind of shit happens.
Great.
That will kick in shortly thereafter.
Wonderful.
It'll knock out power for the entire bastion for a period of about 12 hours.
Okay.
So we cut back to conversation between Hildar and this mysterious person. I think you've been able to spot their name tag now that they have like on their uniform. Because I don't want to be super edgelord mysterious, or they don't have a name, or there's still like procedures and institutional practice that matter. So they have their name on their fucking uniform.
Yeah.
And so this is Ophiel.
Can you spell that for me?
It's Ophiel. And yeah, she has the like the anime bangs where it's just like whoosh, like perfect straight line,
right?
Hair that just like hangs down. It's like a little bit longer than shoulder length in the front, and then has like a little V that trails down her back. She's got this like very clean, very pale gray uniform. It's very well kept. She has the gun very like pointedly there. And Hildar is like, so tell me more about this failsafe. And she's like, we've never had to use it. It's fine. But in the event of a containment breach, this whole system locks down. The entire chamber gets flooded with like, and she uses some jargon here that basically refers to the like chanting. And the thing goes dormant for a while. We can't tap it for energy, but it goes to sleep. It's fine. And he kind of like scowls at it. And I think he turns to look back at the thing, and this is where the two of you make eye contact. Sean, this is where he like spots that you're you.
Because I think it's piqued my interest enough that I'm like looking at it and looking, you know, because I'm at the edge, so I'm like looking over and looking back, and at one point like I should be looking forward, but I don't. I'm looking back,
and he catches your eyes and like does the little like his mouth opens as if he might say something, and then he just doesn't, and his eyes like that were lit up for a moment go back to that like dead stare that he does, and he turns back to Ophiel and just says, well, so what about that one? And he like refers to the day where you fought the two cat things. I thought you said they couldn't get out. And she's like, every now and then there's a little bit of a leak, but that's what your crews are for. They handle it. The other site has more leaks because we're not there dealing with it. Again, that's what your crews are for. They handle it. And he kind of like, he shuts up, but it's clear that he's not happy with the answers that she's giving him.
Yeah. And the other site.
I caught that too.
Yeah.
What, that little thing? Nah, it's fine. And so, yeah, she like gives him the like tisk kind of noise.
Right.
I was like, Commander, you really need to have a lot more faith in us, in the work we do here. And this is where she starts like ushering him on to like talking about some other bullshit about like, it's not just this, you know, there's also the like, what would they call it? There's also our research into the exomorphic materials from outside the barrier. And she's like, come, I'll show you the lab, and like goes to like leave this space now.
Awesome. Yeah. Right. And I think that's kind of Prophet's cue. Like, well, first she was kind of stunned when.
Yeah. So Ophiel turns to walk away, and this is where Hildar like has a moment where he's close to you and she's not paying attention.
Cool.
And he like tilts his head to look at you.
Yeah.
And just like waits for a beat.
Yeah, I look back at him, and it's not like it's not really a pleading look, but it's like, what are you gonna do? I mean, I feel like this is a little bit like a chicken game of like, are you gonna say anything? And
if you rat me out, it fucks you over, and if I rat you out, it fucks me over. So maybe we just both stay quiet, huh?
yeah, right,
Like
exactly.
that standoff.
Yeah, right. Like, what are you gonna do with this?
And then when he's pretty sure that Ophiel is out of earshot, he just leans in and he says, "We're talking about this later." And then like walks off, and there's the heavy like clunk of his what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? He has a leg that's not his. Yes, prosthetic leg,
yeah.
like clunking a little heavier than his other leg as he walks off.
Yep, and Prophet definitely nods when he says that. Like,
and this is where you notice the like chanting, because it's peaking, it's like intensifying, and so there's this like thrum, like higher BPM chanting.
And you said
like super huge scale, so you're inside the speaker basically. It's like this enormous speaker.
So right before Abbott like breaks all the things, I would love to know what the chanting is, right? Like you like this is something I like. Prophet remembers this. Maybe she doesn't speak it fluently, but I think she understood this the cuneiform. And
unless it's how you kept things in the cage.
Yeah.
Like you never heard it because it was only used after you got in the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure you have horrible nightmares about this stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe that's what it reminds you of, is like
my
nightmares.
1,000 years of sleep with with this chanting in my ear the whole time.
And like it almost puts you back to sleep. Like you have to catch yourself. You kind of like nod for that thing where your head nods because you've fallen asleep, and then you drop and wake yourself up. Like that happens at least once.
I love it. Yeah.
And then there is a horrible sound as a like containment breach occurs briefly. There's the like flaring of light. Abbott?
Yes.
Or Raina? Because there's room for Raina to be like, I have to be brave and stand near the scary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think Raina is currently thinking, if I am brave and I stand next to the scary thing, my friends will be revealed, and so far they've been stealthy. So clearly I shouldn't do it in order to protect them. Yes, that is why.
Okay, she's being very rational about what protecting means.
Yeah. and you know, I have one more. I want to dig a little deeper into the music, the sounds. Is the chanting? Does it have the flavor of appeasement, or does it have the flavor of like chloroform? Is it like
oh yes,
it's just like to smother you, you know,
suffocating? It's to your ear it's like discordant. It sounds wrong in like a really like fundamental way, like it's in like a minor key as to your ear. And that as it intensifies, it feels more and more like claustrophobic, like it's trapping you in, like it's packing you down, like you're in a garbage compactor.
I think, and maybe Raina can see this, maybe she can't, but I think Prophet starts having a panic attack of feeling that she's gonna, feeling like the floor I'm sure is perfectly level, but in Prophet's mind, the floor feels like it's tipping inward into this thing,
like it's draining you into the thing.
Yeah, and she doesn't. And again, Shush, feel free to have Raina perceive as much or as little as you want, because it's not huge and overt, but she definitely feels like she's losing her center of balance, and that she's like tipping into it, and that she's gonna fall in again, you know, into the thing.
Sean,
yes.
Are you cool with me calling for a resistance roll here?
Sure.
Does this sound like enough?
Sean, I don't think you get a chance to resist because I'm going to protect you here.
And yeah, this is where I think it might follow naturally.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable to say when you're in the presence of a dark god, and the seals that are holding it back are momentarily let go of, and also those same seals have effect on you. It's very reasonable within the system just say bad things happen to you, and you have to resist them if you don't want them to happen. So yeah, that feels right to me.
Also, I'm going to double check something in my, because this might already be in the rules. Yeah, also, if you're in the presence of a Leviathan while not in an engine, you have to resist before acting. So
perfect.
It's a bit like that in this moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, if Reyna wants to swoop in and like scoop Prophet up so that she doesn't have to like deal.
I think as the chanting builds, right, and like I see Prophet swaying, I like crouch over and like tense up, and like as the light builds up and everyone's about to be distracted, I think there's just like a burst of light above that is dwarfed by the light of the like explosion, and obviously I transcend, right?
Yeah, of
and
course.
Then there's just like a shooting star moment where I like dive down, like literally like fireman carry, like I just bodily pick Prophet up. I let the flare come up to like inches of my nose and like look at it, and then there's just like a hop, 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 much like we saw Rena like exiting,
descending,
where I'm
cat like jumping
yes,
from
exactly,
yeah,
and it's just we're going to be up in the rafters here by the time the light dims and everyone looks around at anything other than
and from another angle, I kind of like the idea that it looks like it flared up and Prophet fell in, or Prophet was engulfed in it, like from
everyone
the other side
blinded
of the
for a moment by the light, and then you're gone.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Right. Like that's what really happened. But yeah, I dig it.
Somewhere, sometime.
So first off is going to be you rolling to resist on Prophet's behalf, and then we can have like a flow roll to carry her to safety, maybe, or whatever you want to roll.
I wanted to defy the powers of this thing, but you know,
defy I think could also be legit.
Flow is also fine. I feel like I'm running, leaping, jumping, which I think Flow controls, right?
Yeah. So either the position effect combo might be a little different depending on which one, but both are valid for sure.
So resisting Prophet falling in, I could see a call for a number of things. I do not know what kind of resistance this is. I mean, I am physically grabbing her, so I was gonna guess tsundere, but like,
well, and it's the thing that needs to be resisted here is, I think, would you say that this is despair on Prophet's part? Yeah. Like I feel like this is a Moe thing.
Right. Like for Prophet, mentally despair. Physically, it may very well be falling in, but yeah, I think
yeah, like the reason that you fall in is this like fatalistic despair.
Yeah, there are multiple ways Prophet is falling right now.
Yeah.
She's
yeah, I feel like that's the heart of the matter.
Cool. Let me resist for you.
I will totally take it.
I'm just gonna roll. It'll be fine. It'll be risky. I assume this is Kudere, right?
We're rolling Moe. Moe is for heartbreak and despair. Kudere is for panic and
beautiful. This is even better for me, and I get a bonus die because I am a defender.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Nice.
No stress to save you.
Nice.
It's just so completely in your idiom.
Yep.
What does it look like when you transcend? Because we haven't seen Reyna transcend outside of an engine.
Yeah, is there
very like as an individual? I'd be very curious to hear about that.
I feel like for a second. Yeah, I think if there was a camera like watching this, I think for a second like Reyna leaps up midair and there's this flash, right? Like an ethereal 3-dimensional ghostly image made of like the echo of fire. Like it's not actual fire, it's like a glow, right? of something much larger, maybe like cat-like horned with flames everywhere. And then like the her trappings of humanity are gone, and she's got this like radiant shining skin, clear orange eyes. The fire is just like, more pronounced, maybe pointing up because we're in an anime and hair transformations are important.
Yes.
Very important.
So yeah, I think that there's just like a like she is like a shooting star, right? Like she leaves like little faint trails of fire where she's like running, and she doesn't even run like a person, right? Like she like leans over and is like moving with like multiple limbs, like balancing in a different fashion. So yeah.
Awesome.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
That's
so
beautiful.
Good. Thanks. I'm really excited about that.
And let's cut back to Abbott, who's gonna do her next thing, and then we can see if y'all get away from whatever this all is. So Abbott,
what was Ipsos in this point?
Sorry, Ipsos, yes. Fog creature. What do you elect to do, having the information that you have and knowing that this thing is about to weird?
So at the height of the power surge, or like right as it approaches that, Abbott wants to I guess there's no beeping and booping. It's still this like face pressed really close to the screen and be like, time for you to take a break. And we'll just kind of bring your hands apart.
Right, and all the displays just go black as you like.
Yeah.
Cool.
And from that pause, we'll look up at the forthcoming.
You're just going to like stare into it as it does its thing. So with none of the safety systems in check, so like the chanting just like hard stops.
Yeah, it's messy and bad.
And this is like the moment where Reyna has jumped down and there's the bright flash.
Yes.
And then there is like 1,000 screaming voices all at once, and like wings with eyes on them that form hands like curl out of this thing and like fold and unfold and refold themselves, and it's this weird like it rolls as much as like walks, and like spills out like a liquid, but it's made up of all these like
wings and eyes,
tendrils that have eyes on them, and it just starts like grabbing at and touching, like it's gone well outside the lines, and they're like reaching over things and like feeling like it's trying to suss out what shape this area is.
Got it. It's touching and like brailing the world into understanding.
Yeah, and it like we see in the background like 2 of the technicians just like die, like they go under this thing and they're like and just dead. And they come up towards you, Ipsos, and like curl around your legs and like reach up your face. It's like snakes, like checking you out. And 2 of them like cross in front of you and form like a pseudo face, right at face level. What do you do, I guess?
Are you lost?
And there's just like a large orchestral choir screaming all at once of sound happening.
Great.
And you hear like whispers, and again in that language you don't understand. And there's like a layer of like 4 or 5 voices all kind of whispering to you. All at once, all saying different things. And the meaning that you kind of experience out of it, it just says like found instead of lost. And they're all kind of like weird, like proby, feely, like curling, slowly writhing around you.
Yeah,
it starts to feel uncomfortably warm.
It's nosy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll like sort of push back a little bit, just sort of like like kind of like just like
hey there.
and in like holding gaze with this face, or the stand-in face.
Yeah, which like follows you as you try to like back away, like it leans in.
Great. Superb. Ugh. Mm.
I'm gonna sleep well tonight.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let me know if this is like too gross or weird at any point, please.
I'm way into it.
Yeah.
I love describing weird, fucked up stuff, so I might go a little too ham. So yeah, it has that like butterfly wing fake face vibe with these wings with the eyes on them, but it has real eyes, and they like kind of lazily like shift and like disjointedly, like they're not pointing at the same things. Like they kind of just drift.
Where are you supposed to be?
And you get this like image of like the world, and like it might be the earth, but it's like covered in like things that look like trees or plants but are made of like meat, like fleshy trees with like weird like frills and fronds and like dangly feeler things, and like some large like serpentine shape like moves in the distance in that like flying. There's just this like completely alien landscape that you just kind of like know, locationally speaking, is like the earth.
Yes.
And it just gives you this image.
But it's the earth covered in kaiju.
Yeah, in like weird alien life.
Awesome. Yeah. Here, after here has been
like changed. And yeah, there's like something that looks kind of like an antelope, but with like really, really sharp, tiny, pointy legs and these massive like wings. And its face is made of gold, and it's like nibbling at some of these fronds, and its mouth is like bloody.
Yeah.
These things are like
made of
fleshy, mushroomy things that it's eating at. And like, yeah, there's just this like fucking surreal landscape. And you feel that distant serpentine thing is it, like reigning over this place.
Okay. Abbott will sort of change tact from like asking these sort of direct, boring word questions, and show a picture of the Urcat and ask like about like is this yours? Who is this? Like, is this like very much like, does this belong to you? Does this belong to you? Do you know this person? And we'll then,
your pet?
And then we'll follow that with showing every single one, all the engines, and like, how about and then lastly,
yeah. So when
showing
you
Tor.
Okay.
It's just like
when you show it the Urcat things.
Yes.
It feels sad. There's like this wave of sadness, and like the like 1,000 screaming voices. Some of them are doing the like mourning wail vibe that we might know from some earth cultures. And then when you show the engines, there's a feeling of like betrayal, of distaste, and resentment.
And is it directed at the engines or like?
It's not clear.
Okay.
Unless you want to put some dice into this.
Yeah.
And really, really get in there.
Yep.
But I will tell you that when you flash an image of Prophet, all you can feel is hunger.
Okay.
Like your mouth waters and your stomach feels empty, and like, yeah, there is this need to like tear apart and consume that thing.
All right. Best meat tree around. Prophet.
But is there a particular agenda you have in mind here?
I think the biggest agenda is to like know and be known, like truly, and to understand what this is in relationship to all these other big sources of power.
So then let me reflect back to you what I'm hearing, which is that you want it to see you as a peer or like as another agent, because right now it might not be doing that.
Yes.
Great.
So then maybe part of that is that reflecting back of like, okay, so that's some of you, here's me.
Yeah, like I am a thing as well, like you.
I also have things I want and feel.
Yeah. How you doing that?
I think it starts with like the conceptualization of what's happening right then and there, and zoomed out where Abbott Ipsos is transcended and like here's part of my me, and like zoomed out again about and here's my team, right? Like here's Prophet and here's Raina and here's how we got here, like here's the world, and yesterday I like hurt these people, here's this complicated world that I live in, like just like layers and layers of context, and then that all comes back into but here I am and I can talk to you but I can't talk to anybody else.
Oh,
like you hit it with the loneliness too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Abbott just wants to make a friend.
let me rewind one step, because there's a step I forgot, which is that you need to roll resistance.
That one
first.
Great. Let's do it.
It's definitely despair in the cosmic horror kind of sense of like there's this impossibly vast multitudinous alien thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You chatting with the world serpent.
It's true.
Like you.
So I have 0 in confess, forgive, and perceive. Yeah.
Awesome.
So then here's the question related to that, which is that I now technically have access to a dot in perceive because I'm transcended because of the. So does it mean I have one die?
You'll get to roll one die.
Great. That's what I wanted to check. So let's roll me a 1 die and see what happens. Ready?
Do it.
This feels appropriate.
A 1 is correct.
What does that put you at?
10.
Oh, okay. So there's like a little, we're going to slice time a little more thinly here, because the next thing that happens then is that you need to roll for Eclipse.
Great. I have no idea how to do that. How do we do that?
Eclipse is you roll your lowest resistance.
Oh, we just did that.
On a 1 to 3, you fall into Eclipse. You start playing into your prompt. Your stress starts counting down. If it hits 0, you're done.
Yes.
On a 4 or 5, someone else can bail you out if they have links with you.
Mm-hmm.
Which none of us.
Nobody.
No one is allowed to. Hang out with them to be their friends.
Yep.
Let me double check if there is still. Oh, someone else can also push themselves to keep you from succumbing. Which is the like, desperately shouting your name across the space as whatever, like shit like that.
Right.
Awesome.
On a 6, you're cool and it's fine.
Okay.
There's a bunch of stuff that happens if you get a crit on it, but you can't crit on 1 die. So
turns out, excellent.
Golden bones.
Yeah. Let's roll some moe again. Yeah.
Moe.
And then I have it. So I'm rolling a die again, and still, yes, I have not magically forgotten this. Great.
I don't think y'all have any of the stuff that gives you extra dice when rolling Eclipse or anything like that. So
no.
Amazing.
I guess I should have asked about that earlier, which is okay. I don't know if it makes sense with is it Red Baroness, which is the member meet someone new? You tell them what they know about you.
So yeah, Sean or Strosh could say what this thing knows about you.
Yeah.
If y'all are excited about doing that, I would love to hear.
I want to hear real bad.
When a member of the crew, another player tells the MCs what they've heard about that crew member. I have ideas, but Josh, if you have something that you're super excited about,
I'm curious to hear your hot take, because I think we're the angry guardians at the gates.
Okay, so this is what I think this thing knows. This is a creature that can communicate in something that we would consider analogous to telepathy. Like there's some sort of mental communication going on, some sort of sharing.
Mostly one way, where it just like projects emotion at.
It just
and
spews
Ipsos is the only one that can understand it too, because y'all don't have that ability. Only
right.
Ipsos does.
Cool. Then my idea will be different. I flavor the cuneiform chanting a little bit more, if that's okay, and if you feel like I'm kind of getting off base,
well,
write me. But the chanting is a lulling, which is meant to pacify pacify the creatures, and the pacification is a promise. And it's basically, and I think because of what you said about prophet, it's a promise of food. It's a promise of like offerings, and it's a promise of like rest now, and when you wake, you'll have everything you desire. And so though prophet wasn't around when this was written a long time ago. Sorry, though Abbot Ipsos wasn't around when this was written a really long time ago, Abbot still takes the role that this thing identifies as its offerings. The promise is when you wake, you'll be fed all these things. So I think what it thinks of you as is food, if that's okay. Or not really food so much as the sacrifice that will be made to it. As one of the things that it's earned by being quiet, by being pacified.
The parallel being that's what also prophet was.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Exactly. I'm going off of that. I don't know. I mean, I know you want to relate to it on hey, you're a person, I'm a person too level, but
this is wonderful.
This demonstrates why there is a barrier to that.
Yeah.
And then when she rolls, she can overcome it. So go ahead and roll your eclipse roll.
Yeah.
Real quick. We'll see if you
forward. We're a 4. I forgot what a 4 means.
4 means that I'm gonna bail you out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, so this is what, despair and heartbreak. So what does that look like, Meg?
I think we'll go back and make my rolls here in a second, but I think that I have been keeping an eye on both of you, and when I see you starting to sway in a similar fashion as Prophet did, I think that there's just a moment. This is all happening. Is it in Ipsos's mind?
Oh no, it's really there.
No,
it's fine.
This
I
thing
think
is spilling out, and you see it looking back because you're clear of where it's reaching out, killed 2 people.
Yeah, I think there's just a moment where so there's noise and chaos, and other people are obviously doing stuff. But I think I was about to use the term again. I clock that Abbott's in trouble. And I think that I yell Abbott's name twice across the distance, even in the middle of this din and all this stuff happening. And then I think that moments later, I'll be there with Prophet slung over one shoulder, getting ready to drag you away from this thing bodily if I need to.
Yeah, just grab her by her hair and drag her.
Right, right. I'm like, wake up.
I think it's also reasonable that Prophet by this point might have been shooken out of it, and you could leave her to herself. If you set Prophet down at this point, she's not going to just collapse. She's not.
No, I think this is our cue to bail. Things have now officially tilted off the axis, and it's cool, we find stuff out. It's time to go. Let's go. If I have to carry both of you, we're doing this.
Sure.
And also, when you look over at Ipsos, they're not standing anymore. They've been lifted by this thing. And so it's got its little wingy hand things under their feet, and it's kind of just as if it were holding them up and inspecting.
Then I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push myself, and I'm going to
cool,
gather myself, leap, kind of catch you in midair, and be hey, I got you. We're a team. I got you back, right? I'm trying to bring you back to this reality as opposed to whatever supernatural reality is pulling you out of yourself and changing your perception
It's
of the world.
Hypnotic wing face thing,
right?
Mesmerizing you. Yeah.
I think probably when I land, I'm very concerned about you and I'm talking to you. But I think before we bail and go scampering up pipes, there's definitely going to be a moment where I look at all of the tendrils and the eyed wings and all that nonsense and just go like a cat. Like, F off, these are my humans.
Fine.
There's still totally room for you to make that roll, Andy, to like have it like acknowledge you in that way that you want. Because this like interaction can occur even as you're being like pulled away from it.
Yeah, I think that's lovely to have both like the oh yes please, also I can't, like it's not possible to stay and like stand.
Sorry, I gotta go.
You're destroying
me.
me.
It's time to leave.
Yeah, I think I would like that very much.
Cool. So how do you assert your ego, your selfhood upon this thing to demonstrate that you're like not a
meat?
snack? Yeah, like a...
Seemed like confess or express, but I don't know if either of those sound right to you.
See, and I was thinking about defy.
There's room for defy being like, no, I am not that thing.
That's very because when it pushes forward this like, oh, you're a consumable, like and we don't ever really see Abbott push in that regard, but the idea of sense of self, and here I am in the world. Abbott feels very strongly about what she does and doesn't know about the world. So
yeah, and so whereas other people might just like slip away, like their identity and whatever just like slips and is gone, with you it's like won't break, and it's trying to like do that with its weird little hypnotic face thing.
Yeah.
And you actually are able to like stare back at it and not break.
Yeah, that's what. Never mind. I have no points in defy, which is okay because Abbott's trying something new.
What if I stood up to things?
Yeah. What if?
I mean, Raina is giving an object lesson in how to stand up to things.
So good, inspirational.
But yeah, Desperate Limited.
Sure. Sounds great.
It's like just so much bigger. Like,
yeah.
Right.
That sense of scale. Is there anything else? I'm not pushing myself. Like,
in some horrible ways, it does feel a little bit like standing outside of Walmart and being like, "See me."
Yeah.
Hoping that, like, the entire corporation would like value you as a human being.
It's going really great.
Yeah, there's this like this thing that has like a billion wings and eyes, and like, yeah, it's just like this unfathomably vast and ancient thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're yelling, right. I am Spartacus.
Great. All right, here we go. No bonus dice that I can even imagine at this point. So boom.
I can imagine a dark bargain. I can imagine. I want to offer dark bargain.
Okay.
I just watched Pacific Rim Uprising. It is a horrible dark bargain, but I think it's very appropriate, which is this thing never gets out of your mind. Like, it's now part of you in some way. And that's a really evil, not like, oh, it's kind of like that. I recognize that this is like the equivalent of saying like you're taking level 3 harm forever or something like that. Although it's not harm, but like that there's a part of this thing that you never separate from, or not never. Maybe you could take an action to.
Long-term projects.
I feel like this is a clock that we start. That's going to be called like, I don't know. It's going to be an 8-count clock. Let me make my tokens here.
Well, we should figure out if Andy's interested in this at all first.
I'm waiting to hear what it is.
So the 8-count clock is called Join the Choir. And it's just, that like, in attempting to assert your identity, you have gotten like on its radar in this way that you don't want to be, where it's going to add you to its mass
collective.
And like it's got a hook on you and it's slowly pulling you, and if you can beat that, then you can be a person to it. And this is the test or whatever.
When you frame it that way, I'm in. Until that part, great. Yes. Okay.
Right. This is how it will test your words, because you're like, or your sentiment where you're like, I'm my own person. And it's like, are you really though? Like,
right.
And I think the visual signifier for this is that somewhere on your person, when you transcend, there's going to be one of these little wing eye things from now on until you resolve this.
Awesome. Horrible.
And it's going to start with one filled.
Great.
Body horror. Yay.
Yes, I'm into it. All right. So that was Desperate limited 1 bonus die for a total of 1 dice.
Nice. Actually, I must gainsay myself.
Okay.
There is one possible option.
Okay.
Which is you'll have a move where when your fame, identity, or reputation is at stake in a situation. And I feel like this is where we get to see that be a thing for your character.
Great. Let's try that again.
Since you only rolled 1 die, yeah.
Feel free to just like roll /R1d6 to add to that.
And it's
2.
Here, I'm just going to do the clicky bit because I'm not good at it. I'm just going to do, but 1 more die on the clicky bit.
Sure. Yeah.
And then here's that second one. Boom.
A 2 and a 3.
There it is. Well, and this was desperate limit. This was desperate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bad shit.
Right, well,
okay.
We're all here. So we can all help you.
Mm-hmm.
So your consequences are as follows.
Excellent.
Level 4 harm consumed by Steigal.
Great.
And I will also put 3 ticks on join the choir.
Okay.
And you can resist either of those at your option.
Right.
I would like to resist the first one. The second one I think is out of my scope.
That seems legit.
Solid.
This is me not being overly sadistic or anything, but again, it's just like I have a thing where most consequences will also include level 4 harm with only partial resistance possible is the thing if you are facing something of this scale while not in an engine.
Totally.
This is where we're at.
Yeah. Right. No, Abbott has been very foolish. It's perfect.
And just so for everyone's reference, this is what to expect. Here's our example.
And Andy, I don't want to take away your agency if you want to resist it, but I have a very strong feeling about resisting the choir part.
Cool.
Awesome. So I would love to.
I'm excited about the idea of people, like of the idea of help. Like Abbott made a bad choice and everyone's like, wait a minute, hold on, we're not leaving you behind.
Yeah.
That feels very powerful.
And I love the idea too that like Abbott maybe couldn't even save herself from this situation. It's like just the right kind of mess.
Yeah. I have a feeling that Abbott's was very unprepared.
Cool. So the being eaten by the mess of like millipede wing things is definitely violence. Joining the choir is definitely despair. So these are your tasks, my friends.
Here we go. Let's see if I go into Eclipse.
Ah!
Right. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Boop. Yep.
Okay. Here we go. Everyone chase everybody in a circle.
No, I'm gonna be okay.
Damn, Strash.
Okay. You are going to be okay. We just have to figure out how.
On 4 dice, Strash rolled a 2, a 2, a 2, a 3.
Those dice are rude.
But I think, how much did you have? You had 5 before, so you're at 8. So you're okay. You're not in Eclipse, right?
No, because he pushed himself.
No. Actually, I didn't vocalize this. But Ipsos going down into Eclipse is a thing that ruins my team, and I feel like one of the things that I would spend there in order to, like, I did a free push by spending one of the
Spending your links.
Yes, the links with profit.
Great. So you're hanging on. Awesome.
Okay.
I am. Barely.
Dang.
So I will save your physical body. I will take you from an angry god and hiss at it like an angry flame cat.
And so we've got the option, Sean, just to remind you that if you are going to push into Eclipse and don't want to, you can spend links to have less stress.
I can spend links, or other people can spend their links on me to have less stress.
So both are true for the stress reduction.
Both are true. Oh, right.
And the way it works is you roll dice equal to the current mission tier and recover stress based on the result. So a 1 to 3 will get you 1, a 4 or 5 will get you 2, a 6 will get you 3. So if you have an extra link to spend and you're pushing it here, then
I do. I have a couple links to spend.
I encourage you to spend them.
So I have thoughts on this. So first, like Prophet was really easy to carry because she's svelte and dainty, and Reyna is super strong and swift in her transcendent form. And then suddenly she becomes real impossible to carry, and she is literally a stone. As I'm gonna transcend for this resistance.
What does it look like when you transcend?
Yeah, because we all have to. Prophet's entire, well, first off, her face changes from like very fair skin to this basalt tan color that's the walls that we're seeing, and then we see coming from her eyes spilling out as all this cuneiform written across her, the same thing, and it spills across her, like it's moving in the same way that you saw it moving on the thing. Like it doesn't stop, it keeps kind of like swirling.
Yeah, it's like flowing out of your eyes. And
so she looks like she's made out of this basalt rock in certain places. Like her fingernails look like they're granite, whatnot. But yeah, we see the cuneiform, and it's very clear that she is 100%. Her transcendence is 100% tied to all of this. That it's part of this. So that's a thing, because it's going to give me a dot in perceive while I'm transcendent. So my moe will be better, but it's not just for that. It's also because I want, when it's, you mentioned that this is joining the choir, and I want to, having spent eons listening to this horrible music, I want to shout out in a very maybe Reyna-like way the counterpoint to it. Like, I've spent forever listening to this minor chord, and what comes out of Prophet's mouth is a major chord that counters it. That is like, I don't know if it's a song as much as it is as much as it is a groan or a moan of defiance, to counter the choir, or maybe a roar of defiance. In fact, a roar that sounds like an earthquake. And yeah,
like a cinder block being dragged down a stone hallway.
Yeah. And I'm even going to, so my special armor is I can spend it to protect against surprise or misfortune, but I can also spend it to be in 2 places at once to perform some feat of time manipulation. What we didn't realize till now, just like we didn't hear the cuneiform song until now, is that Prophet started this as soon as the thing started speaking. Like, as soon as it started coming out and speaking, it was a low rumble that's gotten louder and louder and louder. And so it's been there the whole time to counter its effects, that we just realized now that it's actually been there since the thing appeared. So I don't know that has a mechanical effect, but since I have the move, I wanted to use it.
Yeah, it like positions you to be able to deal with that, even though you were kind of out of action.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's see how much stress I take. Should I roll the link? Should I use the links now before I accumulate the
before you
stress?
roll would be the good time.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will be too late.
Okay. So I'm gonna, ironically, since this is okay, I'm gonna spend the link with Reina. We're working here together to save Abbott. So I think that makes sense. And so I'm spending one of those, and I roll the you said a roll
the mission tier, which is 1. So you're just gonna roll 1d6. If you get a 6, you're gonna take away 3 stress. If you get a 2, or sorry, 4 to 5, it's 2 stress.
Awesome. Mission tier. Like. One, so I get 2 stress. You said, yeah.
You get 1 stress on
one stress. That lowers my stress down to 6. We're golden.
Surely you're fine.
Can you spend multiple links in that way?
Yeah, if you want to dump more into it, you're more than welcome to do so.
I feel like it's the end of the night. Yep, I'll do that. And does that recover any stress for Reina as well, or is it just for me?
No, it's just for you. And actually, I hadn't rolled mine, but I have 2 remaining, so worst case scenario, I'll be okay. There you go.
There you go. So you recover a total of 4 stress.
Oh man, I'm nowhere near eclipsing now. Well, it's not true. I could still. Okay. And now I'm gonna roll.
Something about counting chickens.
All right. Yep. So I think I only take 1 stress.
Amazing.
To resist the.
I marked it correctly. I marked it as 2. I thought that it was spend 1 for 2. I didn't realize I had to roll. I just did it.
Yeah.
We're still good.
All good.
Cool. Yeah.
Love teamwork.
Teamwork.
Okay.
It's the dream work.
Boom.
So
the reason
why are resisted.
Yeah.
The clock is still here.
Yes.
As part of the dark bargain.
Yeah.
So there's still that one little wing wherever you want to say that appears.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's reasonable for you to say that I don't resist all 3 ticks, but part of the reason why I was doing all the fictional positioning was to try and have as much effect as I could on that choir.
Yeah. I think it still does 1 instead of the 3 that it was going to do.
Yeah.
And like the harm is still. Is it level 3 harm? I think it's level 3 harm. And what did we say it was? It was just like consumed by Stygol was the level 3.
Yep.
It was the initial
level 4.
Initial level 4, yeah.
Yeah, we'll say this is claimed by Stygol.
Nice.
So there's just like, and level 3 harm is that you can't act without having help. So
nice.
there's like I imagine like a somewhat catatonic vibe for you now, where you're just kind of still like lost in this experience and like processing all of this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Strush, do you have more links with Prophet?
I do.
Will you spend them?
I will not.
No. Okay.
Nope. I have 1 remaining, and I need to do a thing here.
Okay, that's cool.
Wait, do you need it to not go eclipse or like?
No. I need it to not be a cheater bot. I have level 2 harm, and I forgot about it, and I haven't been taking off.
Harm does not apply to resistance rolls. Otherwise, you have a death spiral.
Yeah, but I've definitely taken an action when I was sneaking out there and being all sneaky.
What is your harm that you have, Sean?
Drained.
Yeah, right, because the magician ate a bunch of your life essence to do stuff. And
I also have existential dread, which I don't think would have applied to sneaking there.
No.
But you know what? I'm just gonna take 2 more stress Yeah, I'm gonna take 2 more stress and say I pushed myself to negate that.
Negate that.
Penalty. There we go.
Great.
That doesn't put me in eclipse, and there we go. And that way, I'm not. I wasn't.
I don't feel hard done by.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Good catch.
But I think probably at this point we should bail. No.
Oh yeah, this is definitely
in which case
time.
You ready to shift out of your form so I can carry everybody out? I
think we can. I don't know. I think I feel like we can run. I don't know. Well, Prophet isn't. Abbott isn't.
Abbott needs help. Yeah, Ipsos.
I got her.
But yeah, like Prophet is fine on her own. She's like functional.
Yep.
So yeah, y'all want to run away?
Yeah.
It's about that time.
We're gonna roll volatile and. JK, we're not playing Monster Hearts.
Let's just say where I can't find it. What's
and so I think at this point also like Abbott's sabotage has run its course and like the system is coming back online and realizing that there's a huge problem and is like the fail safes are kicking in. Which in this case look like again, the massive like thrumming, chanting, but also all of the turbines like grind to a halt. The room starts getting flooded with like the pipes start getting flooded with cold water.
Yeah.
The temperature in the space just like drops suddenly. And there are like klaxons and red lights flashing and everyone's like evacuating. And so yeah, what do y'all want to do to get away?
I think we it feels like this could be a group action flow.
I think it's just you and me, but yes.
Yeah. For defy or flow. I'm
okay with both. I'm really good at flow or defy. Like those are my two high stats.
I'm pretty decent at. I'm better at flow, but I'm fine with defy as well.
Let's go with flow. My dice pool's the same at the moment.
Okay. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah. I think.
What do y'all?
Sounds fair.
Yeah.
They're doing a group action to run away. Where are you running away to? Would be my other question.
Backtracking or
I think so.
You're gonna try to go out the way you came.
I had ideas for new paths if we needed them, but since we haven't attracted attention or been spotted, I feel like we can just back up, right?
Everyone's too busy running for their lives to try to like mess you up.
Stop some kids that are in the wrong place. That sounds good to me. I think running out the way we came in is great.
Cool.
Do you want to lead or shall I?
I can lead. I'm now sitting cool. Great with stress.
I'm doing great. I got like 1 stress left, and cool.
Hopefully one of us will 4 to 5, and you'll only take 1 stress.
Yeah.
So at this point, I think getting out before everything goes super sideways is going to be desperate, but y'all can have standard effect.
Okay.
Because like doors are going to start automatically locking down. There are going to be all kinds of things. And this will get you all the way to the pools.
Right. And we'll get us out.
That problem. So yeah. Y'all are rolling flow, desperate, standard.
I got you, Pam.
Raina's got it.
Ooh, yeah.
Let's see if I stress myself out. Desperate, standard. Can I do -1 die? See if bonus dice will work with negative because I think drain still applies.
Yeah, totally.
Yep, that worked. And so
great. So
by the way, the reason I didn't spend your thing is so that I could be not negative on dice myself right now. So that's what I'm doing is like I see that you're in trouble, and I will use my social bonds with the two of you to like power through my wounds, etc.
Nice.
Right, because you got beat up by leviathans.
Yep. And
Right.
I think that there's a moment where like the doors are closing shut, right? Like, and I'm zipping through one of them, and I notice that you're like, drained, and like also you're a giant rock, so you're not as fast as me, right?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yep.
and I think that there's a moment where I like jump back through the doors as they're closing, and then I like turn around and like my light flares, right? And I like shoulder bash into the door at like some velocity and just like snarl, keeping it open until you slip through.
Right. Well, if we can have a bit of an abyss moment or something like that, like at some point, like my hand just gets like you hold it for
You
long
like
enough.
wedge the hand
Then,
in.
like I wedge my hand and it tries to clamp, but it's stone, so it like stops, and then I squeeze. The two of us pry it open, and then we squeeze through. Yeah.
Great. Cool. And so you're back in that like big open space. It's a lot quieter here. The klaxons aren't sounding anymore. There's the like dripping of water and the just like rush of it. Like they're fucking draining the ocean into this facility, trying to like cool off this thing and control it. And so yeah, there's like lots of water flowing through, and y'all are on the gangways. What do you do now?
We bite down on our rebreathers and GTFO.
So the problem is that the water is coming in, and so you have to like counter current in the thing.
We're working against the current.
You're working against current, so it's going to be harder. It's going to be hard, whereas before it was like straightforward. You just swam through. This, I think, represents a legit obstacle that y'all will need to deal with.
Right.
Would you say that I get to defy the current?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think
it's certainly an option if y'all want to just like push through.
I mean, we could try and find another, like an exhaust, like a different way out. But I kind of like defy specifically like the idea of walking like a stone against the
against the current
and just being like walking on the bottom of it. And I feel like Reina's like fire can zip through it. I like defying it. I'm down with that.
Cool.
I feel like this should also be a group action again. And
yeah, who's leading this one?
I would be happy to spend us. I would be happy to help. Get real close. Happy to help Abbott so that you can roll with us if you want to. To give
we are if all three of us are rolling, we're going to be in a tight bind.
It's probably bad. It's probably bad if all of us are rolling.
Yeah.
But I don't know if all of us need to roll in order to get, if we can help Abbott with us. Albeit Abbott is probably the best condition to be in terms of the transcendent forms. Abbott's is probably the best for dealing with being underwater. Since you are
like, does Ipsos breathe?
Ipsos is breath.
Okay, yeah, it's a metaphor. All right. I'm drowning in metaphor. Cool. So yeah, how do y'all want to tackle this?
Good question. Andy, go ahead.
I don't entirely understand the implication of can't take actions without help. And so I don't know what that means. So I don't know what I'm capable of.
So you can act provided that someone spends a stress to like help you, and you don't get the die. Instead, you just get to act at all.
Get the option. Thank you. Yeah. Great. Now I understand what that means.
Alternately, you can push yourself.
Great. I can just keep pushing at my
for that same 10. Function. Yeah. And yeah, as long as you haven't fallen into Eclipse, anytime you would take stress, you just roll for Eclipse again. You keep butting up against the ceiling, as it were.
Okay.
Hang out there for as long as you're able. Sorry. Question or clarification needed? It sounded like maybe I didn't explain it in a way that made sense.
I'm trying to figure out how to ask a clarifying question. So I'll eventually figure that out and we can go from there. So.
Okay.
So don't worry about it. In the meantime, we can
But
carry on.
essentially, yeah, like being at 9 stress doesn't stop you from pushing yourself or from taking more stress. It just means that every time you do, you have to roll for Eclipse again.
And rolling for Eclipse is what? You roll your lowest
resistance.
Great.
And yeah. So that you keep hanging out at that precipice for as long as you dare, and then eventually fall. Awesome.
Now I understand better. So now I understand what some of my options are. Now, as a motley crew, what are y'all thinking?
I feel like Defy makes the most amount of sense with the current plan that we're talking about, is that we're like gonna try and just push through it,
just like brute force it,
do it the hard way.
Yeah, I mean we only know one way out, and that way out has water gushing in. There's totally we could try and gather information to try and figure out a different way out that has the water exiting, but yeah, I think the obvious one. Also, it's late, so I'm like, let's go with the simple solution because Sean is tired.
Sure,
but we could definitely look for a different way out as well. I think those are the two sort of things on the table.
I feel like the only thing that's stopping us right now is the water rushing in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we have two options here, but my question is, how badly hurt is Ipsos? Like, level 3 harm is level 3 harm, but like, should we be getting her to a hospital?
I feel like the fiction we established is that this is a very like psychological trauma vibe at this point.
Yeah. I feel like just and check me on this, Andrew. I feel like the all of in as much as one can tell when someone is transcended, Ipsos seems physically unharmed. Right? Like despite the part where like body rules are kind of off. Right? Like
yeah, like she looks like she should still have all of her moving parts and they should still be working, but she's just kind of like turned inward.
Yes.
In a really big way.
In which case, my suggestion is just that we wait this out. They will contain this thing and we can leave. We're going to be late. The battle above is probably going to go on without us. But I feel like we just wait until there isn't water rushing in, and then we just leave when either they're draining it out or they're like they flood the chamber so like the water level depresses and we don't have to fight the current.
Right.
At that point, I'm not sure there's even going to be a roll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like this is like we're doing like a meta bargain of like, we can just not roll at all and accept things we don't want to have happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm cool to play it that way.
I think it depends on how much urgency we feel like. We know we missed the mission call. I think Prophet isn't likely to say like Landgrave saw me, but I certainly can. I mean, it's certainly something I'd be happy to do if that would if everybody knowing that would make it an easier decision for the group. Because I think the fact that he saw Prophet means all of these hijinks are all the stuff that we did is going to come back on us in a really heavy way. And do we want even more to come back on us when we don't show up for hours or whatever?
I have an imagining, which is that like we get to the pools and we're on the walkway and we get to the point where we notice all this water is rushing in, and like as we as players are sitting here being like ugh and are tired, I feel like our characters are also very, very tired.
Yeah.
After this really daunting experience. And I have an imagining that like maybe without saying a whole bunch, or maybe Raina and Tor are going back and forth and Abbott just sits down. Like if you need like an earmark or energy and like capability wise, like Abbott will happily like nope out on going anywhere right now.
The slump, like curl into fetal position, kind of sit down.
Mm-hmm.
To provide a kind of like tangible consequence to this, I'm gonna just fill this failing to deliver clock, which is the like, y'all fucked up enough that you get reprimanded, there's disciplinary action, there's gonna be a bunch of like bad institutional consequences for you guys.
I'm really looking forward to those anyway. So
Yeah.
So
I
if
think
we're
that's
cool
where-
with me filling
Yes.
this and y'all just like being done the mission,
yeah,
I think that's what's going to have to happen here.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
to
I
me
think
feels like a solid way to do it.
I think
Yes.
if Prophet is like saying, like we need to get out, I think Ipso slumps down, and I think Reina's like transcendent form extinguishes, right? Like, and she just shakes her head and like she'll actually for once not attack the problem head on. Like you're trying to puzzle out who carries whom to assist whom to get out how,
right.
and I'm just like, we can't. Like the doors
Right.
are locked behind us. The exit is got 10,000 tons of water going. Our best bet is just to wait it out, like catch a breath,
Yeah. I think the walkways that we're on, I imagine, is that like wrought iron
The
walkways,
like little
crisscross.
diamond
Yeah.
grid
like
thing.
crisscross.
Yeah.
And so there's like this horrible thump sound as like a big section of, or a butt size section of those like diamonds kind of goes
Like dips
as
in.
Prophet like collapses down, like, and like crush it, like bend, crushes them. And then also like her, and then like all this like, and then all this like basalt flakes off of her and like into the water below, as she sort of resumes her normal forms. Like, I guess we wait. Or I think actually Prophet really should say something more fitting to her nature, which is like, all it is time.
There we go.
Perfect.
That's a great note to end on.
Yes.
When we come back next time, we can do the Fallout process real quick and then
Cool.
keep rolling with things.
Yeah, sounds
We'll
good.
see just how court-martialed all of you are going to be.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
court-martialed, mega court-martialed, or uber court-martialed.
And like what that will mean, because we also know that we're still probably going to keep pushing towards doing another mission or
Yeah.
something. So this
No
might
question.
be that they're like, cool, you've been reassigned to this extra horrible job.
Nice.
I have some thoughts for that already.
Well, and we should do that tonight, but we get to roll because we got the readiness way out. We get to roll to see how well Bantam and crew did to see.
Yes.
But
yeah, that's part
again,
of the
we'll do that.
tail end of things, which we can do next time.
Yeah, no, good times. I played a game with Morgan Stinson once. We played Monster Hearts, and the priest there, we're like, okay, we're gonna go to this old priest, and he's gonna be super somber. And he's like, no, what we really need right now is a mega exorcism, because you're. it was good times. I won't. Yeah, Morgan's real smart.
All right.
Let's do XP.
Yeah.
Shout out to Morgan.
Shout
Good
out
job.
to Morgan.
Yeah.
Okay. XP in this game is a
Like-
time to reflect.
All the bad decisions.
That's
on all the
right.
Terrible things we did. Who would like to go first?
I can go first.
Cool.
I have your sheet up. Perfect. I was just gonna say, whoever sheet I have up right now.
Do you feel like I addressed a challenge with kindness or self-sacrifice?
Aw.
I think you
So
did
many
that.
times.
A bunch. I think you should take.
There was a lot of kindness today. I
There
thought.
was.
and yeah,
Um,
it was real looking out for us. I think.
There's a- Mm-hmm.
expressed beliefs that drives role or background. I think Guardian is definitely my role. So yeah.
Mhm. Your role is also ace pilot and insubordinate rebel, and I think you weren't rebelling against your troubled captain, but you were definitely rebelling against the system.
Down with the
broader
system.
social
Down with the
order.
man. Yes. Cool. I struggled with issues from my promises or obligations, and I feel like my promises were definitely in play there. A lot of my actions between actually, I believe that almost every single one of my actions related to one of my promises.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
as I mentioned, like from the get-go, even like why I'm defending, how far I'm pushing, who I'm trying to pull out of what scenario.
Well, and when we started talking about like, well, why is everybody here? And we each, and both Prophet and Abbott had their own reasons for being here. You're like, I'm here because I have promises to fulfill. Like, I don't really care about learning about this alien tech. I care about taking care
You're
of
here for your friends.
And I did the thing. All right, last one is I embodied my eclipse or displayed the contents of my heart.
Over and over and over on the second one.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you guys are quoting for the second one. I definitely don't think I displayed my eclipse, obviously, but like what did you like last time? It was all my heart. It was on a platter, like flaming.
Right.
But this time, what did you guys see? I'm just curious.
So the first thing that comes to mind right this moment is choosing to suffer to protect your friends by like giving yourself a big old headache and extinguishing your hair as we came in the door, like just as a really quiet like what are Raina's priorities, looking out for people, right? Like there's one of them, and I mean I know that was a million years ago, several hours.
But yeah, it's a very clear like her idiom is only important in so much as it still benefits her friends and is like, yeah, she doesn't torpedo other people's jam just because it's not her jam.
Right. And there's a sentiment that I felt throughout the whole thing, which is like, I really want to get to the action part that Raina was exhibiting, and particularly when you were grumbling about like, why do we care about the stupid leviathans in a container? I could just punch one. Right? Like, so there was the I care about my friends, and there's also like I'm a person of action and I want to go do things, and this is not like you didn't fight us about it. It wasn't like I don't want to be here, guys, but definitely this was not the space that you envisioned yourself being in,
and both the like voicing it and the actively buying into what your other team members were on about, like key is the like, all right, here we go.
Rad. All right, cool. So how many XPs all total?
Yes.
All of them? Okay.
Yeah, I think all of them. I don't think there was a category where you weren't like, yeah, all the XPs.
Awesome. All right, cool.
Andrew, do you disagree? Is there did I admit?
It's a self-assessment. Yeah. And also I don't disagree.
Okay. Cool. I will distribute them as appropriate.
Love it.
It's like I go to talk in these moments, but I have to like check myself and be like, no, this is not my time to talk. This is for you guys. So
I think it's okay to chime in and say, hey, I remember this time.
Yeah, I don't want to put on my like dungeon master hat and be like, I am arbitrating the points, and like, oh, that's fine.
Rad. Let's go next.
Andy wants to go next.
Yeah, but why don't you go next?
Great. Sounds like a plan. All right. So step 0. One of the things we start with is, did I only roll a desperate action once? Twice?
You definitely rolled desperate to talk to the god.
And it was defy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's take a look back through here.
Yeah, I realized I didn't mark them as I went because I am a silly me.
Yeah, 2 desperate rolls. 1 to defy, or no. Right, those were the 2 dice of your 1 roll. So I see 1 desperate roll.
Great.
Prophet rolled many a desperate roll.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right, so that 1 XP, I have successfully written that down so that I don't lose it.
Yeah, okay. That would go in your
Tsundere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. Awesome. So let's start with you addressed a challenge with knowledge or subtlety.
I think the entire sort of like find out what's going on with the machine and how it's all working, and then find out what's going on with this alien entity was all like, it reminded me of like the way we put symbols of our technology on our spacecrafts. We're like, this shows that we have advanced civilization, where you're like, here's the picture of my friends, here's the picture of the engines, right? Like you had no language to use, and you found a way to communicate with this thing anyway. So those are two areas where I thought you displayed knowledge.
Great, thank you. I'm trying to think, like, I guess subtlety wise, like I guess the whole even choosing to be sneaky about breaking a thing, even though that didn't go very well, right?
But yeah, that was still like the approach that you chose.
Notably,
Yeah.
unless Andrew, unless they change the way this mechanic works, in Blades in particular, and I have no reason to believe that this has changed. Andrew, please correct me if I'm wrong. You do not have to successfully address
right.
It doesn't say like roll a 6 when doing this or whatever. Yeah, it's just like you try to do the things.
These are things that came up.
Yeah,
sure.
You act within your character's idiom, then you're good.
I sure tried. So yeah, I think there's a lot of that and a fair bit of maybe subtlety in opting to not answer Prophet's question about what is this stuff for. Is it column A or column B of like the hopeful interpretation versus the
dodging
everything.
questions and hiding your intent and your true feelings
every day.
Well, how about your beliefs, drives, role, or background?
I feel like we saw some of that stuff.
I feel like we saw a lot of drive in this one.
Yeah, like a lot of like I must know.
Yeah.
And to the extent of like I will know even if it puts me and my friends in danger.
Yeah, not just you. Also,
right.
I mean, what didn't come out in play because it wasn't the time or the place, but like, you did like endanger all of us, and
right,
a couple people died as a consequence of your action.
Yeah.
And I feel
recklessly,
and I feel like that's a real. I think you should get the XP for it now for all of the like pain and angst that's going to come out of it later.
Well,
yeah,
even
also.
Go ahead.
Sorry, one little consequence that I want to hammer home as well is there was a whole thing of like the failsafe's engaged. The whole bastion has no power for like 12 hours.
Yeah, and Abbott said yes to that.
We were just
right?
like, yep. Because that wasn't like even like a player level bit of stakes. That was like Abbott fully knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's Abbott like really didn't think, like truly miscalibrated, did not understand the magnitude of the individual she was seeking out. And so we saw like that's part of that heedlessness that we saw as she went forward was like, great, like talking to an engine.
Yeah, she has this big blind spot for
non-human entities.
Yeah. Naive perspective on it.
So I think that was also like reflected therein. And maybe even we talked about like the idea of like the role of being like a civilian, just being like whoosh, right? Like
being out of your depth in that way.
Mm-hmm. All to say, yes, I feel like we saw a lot of that. But especially like you said, drives. So
struggled with issues from your promises or obligation. I feel like folks' obligations just didn't come up this time around.
Not so much.
I'm gonna disagree when it gets to Prophet, but we'll.
I'm open to hear the pitch. And then for promises, you have to change her relationship with Prophet.
Yep.
To share her wisdom with Reyna.
Right. And I feel like we saw bits and pieces of that. Actually working with like one of the things I think we saw for the first time ever thus far is like the 3 characters working as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like very closely.
Yeah,
and not at cross purposes with one another.
Right. Like it seemed like we kind of were getting there a little bit at the end of the last session, and we decided we're gonna do this thing together, and then we did.
Mm-hmm. It worked out great.
It did work out great. So I think that there's a little bit going on there where Abbott and Ipsos pushed for a lot of that because it was then convenient to her to do so, which gosh, Abbott's nice. Abbott's got some priorities in place. So I didn't see a lot of obligation stuff because we weren't in that space.
Yeah.
Next time.
Next time.
Next time we get all the obligation points.
That's right.
Yeah, there's going to be all of that coming due in terms of y'all being super insubordinate and going AWOL and all that stuff.
Little things like that. So I feel like, I don't know if that's like no XP or un XP for promises. Like trying to like change that relationship with Tor.
I feel like
and
it's
then
a 1 XP.
Yeah. Like, and because it didn't like overtly impart wisdom with Reyna, but like tried to model it, right, as ever. So, sort of, until later.
Yeah.
Until you're human, right? Like all of us have our own foibles, but like, or like we think of Abbott as like very like, she's the stranger, right? She doesn't fit neatly in a lot of boxes, but she's still human and could be selfish and you know,
ta-da,
like everyone else.
Well, and to that effect, did you embody your eclipse or display the contents of your heart?
Just a little.
I don't know about the eclipse, but hot damn, when you're like, no, I am a person, that was totally epic for me.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, that need to like assert your personhood to this giant unfeeling.
I think you did embody your eclipse. No wasting time with friends and feelings. They just get in the way. It's time to focus on something real and tangible, something that makes sense. You find a concrete, rational, and entirely impossible task to pursue at the exclusion of all else. You absolutely did that.
Yeah,
you absolutely put us all in danger so that you could pursue this impossible task.
Yeah.
Yep. So 2 XP on that one.
Pana.
Excellent self-sabotage. Great work.
Thank you. It was real fun.
Sean, let's talk about Prophet.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me pull it up so everyone can see. All right. I did mark the Desperate Flow roll. So I already got that. Then it's if I addressed a challenge with foresight or revelation. When we first started, I was making up. I wanted to take one specifically for this because when we very first started, I was kind of what I considered at the fringe of this. And when I put my hand in the water and remembered back to knowing that there was something here, and then after that, I was playing as though my foresight was gone. Like I like this is when Prophet in a lot of ways was just like a regular teenage kid because I think this close to it, her foresight sort of, her prescience disappears.
That's her blind spot.
Yeah, it's her blind spot. Well, it's one of her 2 blind spots.
So I think where you'll get benefit from playing that is on the last one, because that's your eclipse is all about acting like more impulsively.
Yep.
Yeah, like 1 here, and then you'll get eclipse related.
Yeah. So I feel very strongly about just the one in this case. You expressed your beliefs, drives, role, or background. Okay, so
let's start here. Yeah, bring it, lay it on us. Yeah.
Troubled Captain is real big for me with all
that stuff with Hildar.
Right? Yeah. Like that was like sort of a captain to captain thing of like who's gonna are we gonna have each other's backs, or are you gonna help me out? But like it's definitely you're gonna pay for, like you're gonna be held up for this, and that was a big moment for me. And then my drive to like find a way to not make Reyna have the same fate as I did it's been a pretty strong driver throughout, but in this case it was like I actually have a specific and concrete way of trying to address that, which is like figuring out what they're doing.
That's for the next prompt, because we're talking about promises.
Beliefs
drives role or background. So Troubled Captain fits.
Yes.
Are there any of the things outside of your promise to Reyna that you
I see. Sorry.
Drives, right? Like
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking drive as well, okay. My background came in a ton. Like literally
for background is
you're on the wall.
I'm literally on the wall. Exactly. So I feel
and that element towards the end where when you transcended, you're like, I am made of the stuff of this place.
Yep.
I thought was a really great touch of being like, that's how of this I am.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was great because I didn't know until that moment. I was like, oh yeah, of course. I'm naturally. It was real fun to.
Yeah, that was one of those aha moments.
Yeah, it was an aha for me, and I was like, awesome. We've built the world up enough that now I have this real perfect thing that seems so fitting. Let's see. You struggle with issues from your promises and obligations. Okay, there we go. I struggled a lot with I will always love Ipsos. I felt some real how could you do this feelings. I know that
it's a very like passive rejection of Prophet there, where she was like, yeah, but you're not a giant alien god thing, so go away.
Right. And also that like, hey, can you figure this out for me? And like, and like answering it without actually investigating it. It was really hard for Prophet when I was like, you're the one person who knows how to like understand all this stuff. Will you like try and figure it out? And like, no, they're up to no good. And I was like, you didn't even try, you know? I mean, probably right, but still that was rough. And then I will help Rhina be the best pilot she can be. I don't think so. I mean, it didn't not happen. I wasn't fighting against that, but I don't think I was trying.
The closest thing to playing into that we saw was the bit where you were describing the like drain into the well of your character and that like gravity of fate.
Yeah.
And wanting like and letting yourself go in there instead of like I feel like the fact that you feel you're doomed directly relates to Reyna's doom for you.
Yeah. I think that was a little touch, but
it's not a big enough thing for you.
It's not a big enough thing for me, but that's okay because I'm still claiming to because my feelings about Ipsos were very strong and very relevant. So
they're present in the 4. I am super in love in the moment with the way I had parsed that question and Ipsos putting it off was that then going to investigate that stuff at the console was like the follow through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
But in the moment, Prophet just felt like she was being blown off.
Totally awesome.
It's great. It's great because you didn't blow her off, but that's how she perceived it.
I really don't understand, by the way, how there was a relationship in S1 between you two.
I get it.
Is like complete bizarre, like Prophet is like, hey, Ipsos, how's it going? And Ipsos is like, good touching. Like
yeah, like the coldness of it is so deep set now.
Yeah.
And I feel like clearly this is an indicator that Abbott has changed so much in that becoming a pilot transition.
Yes. And being absorbed to the Leviathan radiation and being transcendent and all those things like changed Abbott in a huge way that Ipsos is still trying to find a place, trying a connection with her, and is having a real hard time with it.
The time traveler is stuck in the past.
Yes. How good is that?
Right? Like it's relating to an older version of a person that no longer exists.
Yeah.
A dead version of a person. Right?
Yeah. And I think we can all do that, right? Like
tragic.
we can all have these fond memories of somebody and realize that they've grown and changed and we want to hold on to them. And I think,
or that you've grown and changed or whatever.
Or I think Signe is having a real hard time with the idea of this new, like she keeps thinking that she'll find the old Abbott, and that person isn't there, but that's okay because we'll play to find out what happens when they keep bumping into each other.
Absolutely.
You struggle with issues from your problems. Okay, we did that. You embodied your eclipse or displayed the contents of your heart. My eclipse is you've known all along that changing fate was impossible, yet here you are. So much wasted effort, wasted time. If this fate was inevitable, why not embrace it? You set aside caution for for instinct and pursue direct course of action. Yeah,
Yes.
that's like I feel like the way I signal in the game when I'm going towards Eclipse is whenever my prescience doesn't work and I get really irresponsible and do things.
You put on a bunny suit and like just walk up to your superior officer and their superior officer, and you're like, wah wah wah. And
yeah,
just a little. Just a little.
yeah, it was. I was trying to signal that Prophet is a different person when she's not both when she doesn't have the gift, but also doesn't have the weight of carrying all of this knowledge with her. Is that she can kind of be a kid, and she acted like a kid in that, like, I'm going to sneak up and be silly and goofy, right? Like she wasn't thinking as severely, even though it was like the worst thing ever. We're in front of this horrible.
Yeah, it was like a very severe situation that you were then kind of flippant about.
Yeah.
I like drawing the connection of when Prophet is in control or not. For circumstances, like how she behaves when she's on top of things, and then once she's not, it's just like you just totally fucking like all bets are off, just let go completely.
You yard sale it from there, right?
Yeah, these pendulum swings.
Yeah,
super good.
Well, great.
Nice.
Crew XP. Successfully carry out a mission from the crew's list.
Yeah, we did that.
We did it.
I'll give you that XP this time. Struggle with your place in the world.
We did it.
Last Bastion. You didn't do that second one, but you definitely did the first one a lot.
A whole lot.
Reveal the tragic history of the Bastion, Leviathans, and engines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very yes.
Arguably, we might even get 2 XP there because we did that a lot. Like that was.
No, I feel like this is a 2 XP one.
Yeah.
Express the essential nature, origin, or destiny of the crew.
Yeah.
We'll give you one, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is exactly another crew advance.
Great.
Good to know.
Because we had a few carryover from last time. So
right.
Well, great. That's all the bookkeeping.
Nice.
Look at that.
Well, it is late and we are tired, so we should say adieu to everybody in chat. I am Sean. Who am I again? Yes, I'm Sean. Playing Prophet this evening and having a great time. You can find me on the internet at Sean Nettner pretty much everywhere. And I'll be streaming more on this channel soon. I got lots of things I'm excited. Oh, I know what I'm super excited about. Tomorrow, or maybe the day after tomorrow, I can't remember now because time is messy. Alex Roberts and Bully Pulpit Games are going to kickstart Starcrossed, the game of two people who really, really want to, but who really, really shouldn't. And it's a beautiful, wonderful game that I have played and facilitated and enjoyed so much. And when it comes out, you should super check it out. The digital only version is going to be really inexpensive, and the physical product is going to have lots of gorgeous, wonderful things, and both are really great tiers to back at, or just shout about it on the internet. Just
also that one.
Yeah. How about you, Andy? What's going on with you?
Oh gosh, I am reminded in passing, since you didn't take the opportunity to mention it, that you played Starcrossed on an airplane recently.
Yep.
I would just like to slide that in on the very tail of your all stuff, and then I will carry on with my own, which is hi, I'm Andy. I'm a cast member here on Actual Play. I am very tired, and you can find me on Twitter as Fictional Mammal. I'm excited about naps today. Today is like a real good nap day. All my wonderful friendos on the internet gave me all their spare naps. And I promise the rule is that you don't ever regret a nap. So I encourage you to try them. Yeah, that's what I got. Strash, how about you?
Hey, I'm Strash. You can find me on Twitter at StrashA. And I am also excited about naps. I've had a very, very busy, low sleep last couple of days. So I am looking forward to taking a little break. But I'll be back playing games with people here hopefully next week sometime. So that's all I got for today. Maybe more exciting announcements next time. What about you, Andrew?
Oh, Gosh, I am excited because I have 2 playtests of this game running now.
Nice.
There's this one, and then I have one on my channel on Sundays where we're playing the like dream conspiracy idea virus playbook. And we've just finished character creation for that, and they made some downright poetic shit has come out of that game already.
Sweet.
And it's very inspiring. So I'm full of good playtest vibes, and it also is generating a shitload of work for me, but that's how it goes. You can follow me on the internet in such places as Twitter @CommutingCrow or on twitch.tv/actualfactual.
Cool. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us this whole time, chat. We will see you all next time.